Hello, and welcome back to Sacred Wellness, a space where we explore healing, awakening, embodiment, and what it truly means to realign with who you are becoming. Today's conversation is deeply aligned with where so many are right now in their life, and that is moving through midlife. It's a topic that's very personal to me at the moment. And I know many people are going through this feeling of this call to heal and sort of release and, become who they were truly meant to be. Because midlife isn't just about a transition, it's about this awakening process we become and we go through to find out who we truly are on a soul level. So it's an invitation to look deeper today. And I ask that you help me invite my guest and friend, Jean Hanson. Jean, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Terry Ann. Glad to be here.
Me too. I'm glad for our conversation today. Jean is a co-founder of Realign Your Life Wellness Center, a beautiful space dedicated to healing, alignment, and transformation. She is also a certified emotion code, body code, and belief code practitioner, a certified higher guidance life coach, and the author of Trust Your Higher Guidance. She helps people release emotional patterns, regulate their nervous system, and reconnect with their body's natural ability to heal. One thing she also does with her husband Steve is they own a harmonic egg, and she has sessions with people where it's a powerful resonant chamber that uses sound, light, and color. So I'm so happy to have you here today, and I want to get started right away because there's so much to talk about. But I first want to start with um, how do you actually see midlife as an awakening point for people with their healing and what they're going through and what they want to release at this point in their life?
Well, I think a lot of people are like me. At some point, they become just so, they feel so stuck in their life. And there may be good things that are happening in their life. Maybe, the family's wonderful, but work is, hard and they feel stuck there. But at some point, we really start feeling stuck. And that's what happened to me. And, my work became my life. My husband and I have been in business together since the year we were married. And so we've always just worked and we were never able to have children. So work really became a big part of our life. And there were parts of our business that I loved, but over time it just became kind of like this drudgery. And I'm like, what else is there? And by this time I was in my mid 50s
Hmm.
and we're looking at when are we going to retire? And, people get in their 50s and that's what they're looking for. And we still plan on working for quite a while, but I couldn't see how could I do something different because we had been in the same industry for over 30 years. It's like, what else
Right.
do I know, right? And so I began this spiritual journey working with an intuitive. She did readings with me. We worked together for 4 years. She kind of got me back on my whole spiritual track because I had left religion behind when I was 18.
Hmm.
And a lot of people are really like me, were tired of the dogma. And at that time, I had equated spirituality with religion. So
Yes.
I spent my life working. And I was finally beginning to find myself again with these readings that she was doing with me. And then just making changes. It was helping to guide me to make shifts and changes within my business to make my life a little bit easier. And, by the time I had gotten done working with her after that 4 years, I had freed up a lot of my time. So
Mhm.
now that's when all of a sudden it's like, I didn't have the gifts I have now until it started in 2019. And that's when the first thing opened up. So, you talked about this being a journey, and it definitely is a journey. I mean, this is not like flipping a switch.
Yeah.
You're feeling stuck. You have to start working on that. I worked with her and another woman. I thought it was over, did all the work regarding my mother's death, and I found out I hadn't. So I was doing more work on myself. And then I, opened up these gifts and started learning that. I started doing the Higher Guidance Life coaching course. I was introduced to the emotion code and body code, and then this ball just started rolling down the hill, and I didn't know what was happening with it or where I was going with it. All I knew was I was having fun.
Yeah.
And and then during this time, my husband Steve, we had gone to Maui and he got introduced to sound healing and sound therapy. And so all of a sudden he comes back and he's starting to get certified in sound healing. And both of us are like, what are we going to do with this? Because our business is making our living. And I said, I don't know, but I'm having fun and I'm connecting with my guides, and I'm sure they're going to, take us where we need to go with this.
Right.
And that is when I discovered the harmonic egg.
Okay.
So yeah, so that was the sound and light therapy that I told Steve, you've got to listen to this interview. It's the inventor of the egg, and we just kept looking at each other like I was getting certified in the emotion code and body code and got certified in the higher guidance life coaching. He got his certification in sound healing. But we're like, what, how can we make a living at that? But then when we looked at the egg, we're like, well, that could be a wellness center. And
Sure.
and so that all of a sudden became our vision. And
Wow.
it even manifested even more than what I could even describe. We had the vision, and then we ended up with two harmonic eggs, not one, which is what I thought we were going to get. Yeah, so we can help even more people now. And then it just, we moved across the country and we sold our house and sold our business and started, and this now by this time, now we're 61. So I started this
Okay.
journey when I was 56. So, this is a process. This isn't like I said, it's not like flipping a switch and your life suddenly changes. You have to make these incremental changes. And does it happen quickly for a lot of people? Yes. Now, this year that it happened where we made the decision, we're going to sell our business, move across the country, sell our house, because we wanted to do this where we wanted to live in Arizona. Was a place that we had vacationed and we loved it. And so that's what we decided. But that year, it was like just synchronicity after synchronicity, and
Yeah.
everything just fell into place.
You made a
Have there been
couple of
challenges?
really,
Yeah. I was
yeah,
going to say, there's been definitely been challenges after
sure.
that. So don't, you have this expectation that things are just going and going, and it's, you've made it to Shangri-La, right? This is the life that you've dreamed of, but there's still more challenges to deal with.
Yeah, and I found that when we moved to Sedona because I think that was very early on in my spiritual journey, and I thought, okay, well, here we are. This is wait, but everything was working out so perfectly. But then we got there, our house wasn't selling, and we couldn't find a place to live, and so all of these things still were not in place yet. But you made a couple of really great points I want to talk about. First of all, is that you were older, and so many people, as we get older, right, we get stuck in this place sometimes that's like, well, I'm too old and I've done this my whole life. Like, how could I learn to start to do something else? And you're living proof that you can, and at any age, you can start again and
Yeah.
recreate the life that you want through growing through this process while learning and understanding, right? Because you're receiving guidance. And I always talk about this. We always have our own guidance, but it's not always easy for us to hear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's wonderful that you had support in that. And I think when you start that journey of going through that, we're unraveling a lot of old emotions and beliefs also that are tied within that a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about that, about sort of what occurred while you were working with this woman and how you became certified in all of these different modalities and how it not only affected you, but now your husband as well?
Yeah. Well, when all this started happening, I just decided to use that phrase, lean in. I remember the day I said, I'm going to lean into this and I'm just going to follow the guidance and see where it takes me. And
Wow.
so I made a conscious decision to do that. And that's why I went ahead and did the certifications and did all of this. But, I was lucky enough to, when I worked with her, she was giving me the messages from my angels and my guides, and I did follow the advice. But then when it happened that I was able to communicate with my own guides, then I would just had a million I had more and more questions that I ever dreamed I could have. It's like I got a million questions here. Yeah. So then, but during all this time, you know, um, and this is one of my messages about, with working with older women, because we do feel like, well, this is my life and this is how it's going to end, right? That I'm going to be stuck
Yeah.
in this life and here, there's no future for me. And I mean, we were able to create our own future. And was it scary? Of course, because now we made a huge investment in a business across the country, starting over again because we had transformed our business a couple of times over the years, three times. And yeah, it can be a scary thing, but it felt so right.
Yeah.
And so during all that time, though, because I was getting certified in emotion code and body code, I really learned so much about how our emotions are affecting our health and both physical and emotional.
Mm.
And so I've been lucky enough not to have any major illnesses. I mean, when I first started doing this work, my very first class, I worked on back pain because I had a lot of
Mm.
back pain. And I released 80 emotions out of my back. And boy, did I
Wow.
feel good at the end of that day. But so I started doing the emotional work and then getting certified in body code. Now you start to make the connections to all these emotions that we've been stuffing all these years, ever since we were a child. They're still in our body. They don't just dissipate and go away because we've moved on. They stay within our body, and over time, they cause discomfort in the body.
Mm.
They can start to cause imbalances and misalignments in the body that can cause the symptoms that we begin to feel in our body. And so once I started doing those two modalities together, it was such an eye opener for me and now for my clients because they start to see a lot of the connections. Things that happened to them when they were 3 years old that, it started with maybe an emotion of stubbornness, a stubborn 3-year old, right? And then
Yes.
that caused an imbalance in one of their meridians. And then that led to, all these other things, imbalances in the organs and glands. And so, you start to see these patterns of things. And so with the modalities that we do now with emotion code, body code, and also with the harmonic egg, because the harmonic egg does basically the same things, but we're not able to identify things specifically, like the emotions that we're working on
Sure.
specifically. So getting to those emotional roots of all these things have been really transformative for people because I get people that come in with a lot of childhood trauma or
Mm.
PTSD, people with anxiety, people with physical things that they're trying to work through, hormone issues. Autoimmune conditions are so common, digestive issues with all the processed food in our world. There's so many people with digestive issues.
Yes.
I've even worked with, Western medicine doctors. I worked with an internal medicine doctor who she couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. She knew she had digestive issues. She wasn't able to eat things. Her hands were in pain, and she turned to other doctors, and they labeled it autoimmune. Well,
Mhm.
that's pretty typical to label something autoimmune when you don't know what it is, and that
Yes.
happened. And I'm not saying that because I'm saying that because I have so many clients that come in and tell me that they're labeling it as autoimmune, but they don't
Yes.
they don't know what it is.
Right. There's no
And
concrete evidence behind it.
yeah.
You can't take
So
a blood
we're
test and see this is
yeah,
exactly
and
what
I
it
mean, some of them they know what it is. Some of them come in diagnosed with Epstein-Barr virus, and I work with people with that type of virus and
is. Sure.
all kinds of autoimmune. But what we're doing is we're trying to get to the root of it. What are those emotional roots? And this doctor worked with me both harmonic egg and body code. She came here for about 10 months. She had to move away, but at the end of that 10 months, she was feeling amazing. She was able to start incorporating more things that she couldn't eat into her diet. The pain in
Mm.
her hands went away. I mean, and I was like, wow, this is an internal medicine doctor. You'd think that she would have been able to figure this out, but we worked on her digestive system. Well, I take that back. We first worked on her nervous system, the stress and
Mhm.
anxiety. She also had a couple young children. And we worked on PTSD and childhood trauma. She had a lot of childhood trauma. And then we
Okay.
started working on the digestion, the inflammation, and her immune system. So we kind of worked on those five things and going kind of doing both the modalities. So, this is not like taking a pill and relieving the symptoms. This is a process. And for some of these things, it takes a while to get through it. But is working on something for a year worth it? I would think so.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
would agree.
Yeah, well, and then, once you get through that process and you're feeling good, and, we've got other people that have had, like heart conditions that are managing that well. Now their I've got one client, her echocardiogram, last one everything was in normal ranges. So now we moved on and now we're working on her digestive issues and we're her immune system. And so, and then once we're through with that, she's been doing great. She's lost 70 pounds. We're going to keep working on the nervous system because
Yes.
the nervous system is so important. People don't realize that their bodies are not shifting naturally between sympathetic and parasympathetic, fight or flight and homeostasis. And when that happens, when you're stuck in that fight or flight mode, our bodies are not able to heal because our digestive system slows down, our immune system shuts off, we're much more susceptible to getting sick. The thinking part of our brain turns off, so we're very reactive. So things are not, they're just out of whack in our body. But when your nervous system is in balance, you can tell for sure.
Yeah.
People tell us they don't get triggered as often. They don't hold on to things when they do get triggered. It's just, it's like, okay, I got triggered. Now let's let it go. It's just very natural. And so
Yeah.
that's when your body's in that position to be able to heal.
Yeah, the nervous system is something I talk a lot about on the show, and especially in midlife, I think the nervous system regulation is so important because in midlife, our hormones are really starting to begin to be all over the place. And
Hmm.
sometimes we don't know if we're coming or going, I'll be honest with you. But I want to talk a little bit about what happens when the nervous system actually feels safe. You tapped into it a little bit, but it was like you're much calmer. You don't react to people maybe the way you used to react. What are some other things that when the nervous system begins to feel safe again, what people naturally do, and then they come back and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like somebody triggered me and I wasn't triggered, or something happened."
Yeah, I mean, those are the two biggest things. And um, well, I mean, Steve and I, my husband Steve and I, we notice a physical difference in people when this happens. We had one gal when she first started coming, she was very stern looking in her face, and her hands were like stiff. She would show us her hands.
Mm,
She's like, I can't even hardly move my hands. So she would hold a lot of her stress in her hands.
sure.
And she just was coming in once a month, and she did a few sessions, and we slowly started seeing a change. And now, she comes in, she's got a big smile on her face. She is, she's very relaxed. And what's really amazing is that she was interested in what Steve does. He does life force energy with sound. So he does his own energy healing modality as well. And she got interested in what he does. And so he referred her to the woman that trained him to get certified. He got certified in quantum touch.
Okay.
He's made it his own with incorporating sound into it as well. But so now she started doing the training, and she's transformed from being this stressed out, stuck in fight or flight, can't move her hands, to being a healer.
Mm,
And she's an amazing healer. And now she still comes in once a month, and she does sessions in the Harmonic Egg to raise her vibration. And we call them divine connection sessions. So because the egg raises our vibration every time we do a session, if you're doing the work on yourself physically and emotionally, eventually you can start realizing that your nervous system is so relaxed that now you can connect to your higher self, to your guides, and people start getting downloads and yeah, just raising their vibration. We just had another gal too that she's doing another type of energy healing, and she was not an energy healer, and she's been coming
mm.
here. She's one of our very first clients, and we just did a session like that last week, and she said that she could tell a difference in when she does her energy work now. There was a big shift in her with her energy work after doing that session. Now,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, people usually do a series of them, but there's times where you can all of a sudden there's a shift that happens.
Yeah, I
And
love
they
that.
just, yeah, people just love, they're like, oh, I can't wait to get back in the egg. So
I can
there's,
vouch. My husband and I did it for a long time as well, and it was wonderful. It really
yeah.
does, you just have this like overall feeling of bliss and love and peace, every time you do it. And you're right, afterwards, downloads and receiving guidance. because your frequency is so high. And that's why I think something I talk about often is the importance of a high frequency. We
Hmm.
can't just walk around in the world and say we're high frequency and then not do the work to make us be able to be high frequency.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And it's
yeah.
an ongoing process. It's not like,
Yes.
okay, I got my nervous system in balance, I'm done. It's not like that. You need to keep working on it. Now, you don't need to do something every single day. I mean, for our clients, that once that happens, if they don't have anything else they really want to work on, they just want to manage their stress, they just come in
Sure.
once a month and they're doing
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I believe it. For somebody who's listening right now and feeling stuck or overwhelmed or disconnected, what's one tiny little step they can begin in their healing journey to help themselves?
Well, I think they need to make a commitment to themselves to actually give themselves the time to work on it because
That's a big
that's the
one.
thing, we get people that come in, they're very excited, they love the session, they just, couldn't thank us enough. Um, but then they don't come back. And it's like, well, I got so busy and then
Yes.
then the excuses start. So, you know, if you this is a journey, we keep saying that, but it's true. It's not going to happen overnight, and you really need to carve out some time for yourself to make a commitment to do that, or else you're just going to keep falling back into the same old habits.
Yeah.
Try and make one little change, that can shift something. Whether it's taking, we're open on Saturday mornings. There's some people that they're carving out that time every Saturday morning just for themselves. Or we have like you and Tim, you guys would come on Saturday mornings. That's when couples like to come sometimes is on Saturdays. That's like their date day. And so they come
Yeah.
in and they each do an
Mhm.
egg session. But
Yeah.
it's making that time and making that commitment.
No, that's a really good one. Thank you. I want to thank you for bringing this depth and clarity in your beautiful work to sacred wellness today. This conversation has been such a reminder of the importance of really tuning back into ourselves and what is it and pouring into ourselves about what we need more than ever, I think, in the world that we live in, and especially in midlife as we're going through so many changes, the importance of really going back to how can we support ourselves. Jean, I want to thank you for coming on today and sharing your wisdom and guidance.
Well, it's my pleasure and thank you for having me. Thanks, Terry.
Thank you. I will be back and I will see you next week.